I'm delighted to say Tipperary coach Paddy Christie joins us this morning as AIB launched The Toughest Season. It's a photo book, a pictorial account of how hurling, football and camogie communities have come together to support one another throughout one of the toughest years in history. There's the front cover of it, and it's called The Toughest Season, a year like no other in Gaelic games. Paddy Christie, you've had some season, all told. How are you?
Not too bad now, not too bad. It's going reasonably well at the moment, I must say.
Yeah, you've been quite busy. I think Sigerson success early in the year and a Munster title with Tipperary. If you were sitting down at the start of the year, you'd have been pretty happy with that, I suspect.
Yeah, I think the DCU one, there was always a possibility of that happening. Tipperary there were longer odds on that, shall we say, but that's after happening as well. So look, it's a fantastic season and great to be involved. 85 years for Tipperary. I mean, DCU have won a good few Sigersons, but for Tipperary, and the DCU thing was very special. But I must say that Tipperary tops it all now. It's fantastic for the lads, and hopefully it'll continue on Sunday.
You must have had some sense that it was not likely, but possible. And then as the week went on, more of a growing sense that it was likely with Tipp. What was that? What was the build-up actually like?
I suppose there was. It was a strange build-up because of the events surrounding it as such. Firstly, it was a Munster final, needless to say, for Tipperary, which is a big event anyway. It's not your run-of-the-mill Cork and Kerry would be used to that every year. But then you've got the whole Bloody Sunday commemoration and the weekend that was in it, wearing the jerseys. It was strange, but it was very enjoyable, and the lads were very focused, and I was impressed with how mature they were about it, because it's very easy to get sidetracked, and the focus was still on football. It was still on a game of football. It was still on, executing basic skills and working really hard and tackling and blocking and catching the ball clean. And Bloody Sunday was really, really important in a different type of way. It wasn't mentioned an awful lot, but you knew it was in people's minds.
Yeah, and the actual jerseys emerged afterwards. You were training in them for the week beforehand. Was that what happened?
Yeah, so it was a very good idea. I think it probably was David Power, but I can't remember who suggested. But like, they got the jerseys in early and wore them, and in your 30-man match that you were having in training, lads were wearing them, and that just sort of got you past that tiny little probably doubt in your mind, worrying about going out on Sunday with this new jersey with a different colour. I know it sounds very, very trivial to people, but footballers can be superstitious, and I was myself a little bit over the years, and it could just play in your mind a little bit. So it was good to get that done, play in them, and sort of not get out of the way, because you're respecting the occasions, and it's so important to honour it. But it was just that we got past that little speed bump, and then we just focused on the game, and then of course winning the match and playing so well was the best way to honour the whole thing.
And in terms of the execution of the game plan, could it have gone any better?
Well, I suppose if we had scored a goal that was disallowed, the goal was allowed, that we would have sort of felt that it would have went really well. I mean, we were still hanging on in there in the last few seconds. We were 3 points up and Cork were attacking, and there's real hands over the eyes job. The game plan, I mean, I don't think there's anything fancy with Tipperary. They attack the game. They've always done that, and I've been an admirer of them for years, well before I got involved. My mother is from Tipperary and have relations down there, and big fan of theirs, because more to do with the football that they play and the way that they play. It's a simple enough game, and if it comes off, people talk about game plans and tactics and all, but realistically, it's fairly simple, and you get chances at certain times and you have to take them, and I suppose that's what we did. Like, our conversion rate was quite high, and hopefully we'll have the same on Sunday.
That's interesting. I guess the amount of time that you spend on a game plan versus the amount of time that you spend on yourself. How was that divvied up ahead of the Cork game? Did you focus a lot on what they had done in the previous round and how you were going to stop them, rather than how you were going to get the best out of yourselves?
Yeah, it's a balancing act. I certainly think we did spend some time on ourselves, a good bit of time. What ratio? Geez, I couldn't tell you. But I know that we spent a lot of time worrying about ourselves and less about Cork. We knew about Cork as it was, and a lot of these guys have played against Cork underage. We actually played against them in the league, and we had quite a good game with them. They eventually pipped us, but we knew what the story was with them. We knew they were good, and we knew that we'd have to perform very well. But I don't think the lads were intimidated in any way. I think they felt not cocky in any way or arrogant, but they certainly felt they could do it. And you just got that feeling as the week went on that we could possibly pull this off. And obviously that's what happened.
So when we have that conversation around Mayo, I presume you're in touch with all the Dublin coaches, all the great minds that have managed to crush Mayo dreams over the last decade. So you've got a wealth of knowledge now ahead of this weekend, no doubt.
Well, coming back to the last point, I suppose you know loads about Mayo. I mean, you can ask other counties and you can ask other management and look for advice. But I suppose this is stuff, everyone, like, these are household names you're playing against, like the Aidan O'Shea's and the Killian O'Connors and Paddy Durkins. Everyone knows them inside out. So it's not a case of needing to find out any more information. We're already, unfortunately, aware of their capabilities, and that's where it comes back to us. You look at them, you say, yeah, they've got strengths, an awful lot of them. Try and identify a couple of weaknesses, and then sort of move on and say, right, what are we going to do? Because that's all we're in control of. I mean, realistically, if Mayo go out and really perform really well with the depth that they have and the quality of players that they have, it'll be very hard to stick with them. But what you have to do is you've got to hang on in there in the rocky patch, and then try and bring your own game into play, which is obviously an attacking game for us, and try and rack up scores and see what happens then.
Has there been much talk about the 2016 game this week? Like, is there a sense almost that the early black card in that game was something that really dashed Tipperary's chances? Because I think people look back on that and say, Tipperary did well to be there, but that was a contest for a lot of that game, which I think has been brushed over a little bit this week.
It definitely was a contest. I mean, I remember watching that game and I was rooting for Tipperary, not because of anything against Mayo, and I've an awful lot of time for them, but I suppose with my connection to Tipperary, and I'd be friendly with Declan Brown down there as well, and would have known David well before I got involved in management with him. So I was rooting for them, and I remember thinking, God, that was one that got away. They could have done that. Would have been come in under the radar a bit, but certainly were well capable of pulling that off. And yeah, the black card certainly had an effect, but Mayo just probably experience-wise just had a little bit more on them that time. And you'd hope that some of the lads who were involved at that time from our group will have learned a little bit from that as well. I mean, the more you play in Croke Park, the more it becomes just normal, which is that's what you're looking for everything to be just the same as always. You don't want any major speed block, something like that. You need to have everything the same routine all the time, and that's what we're sort of looking for there. Like, as regards the experience of the All-Ireland semi-final, and whether it's come up, not really, to be honest with you. Like, there are some new players in this group, and it's a new game, and we're in a different position. We're coming back off a Munster Championship win. You have to remember, 2016, you were coming through a qualifier, but I think this is a different dynamic now.
Yeah, it's very different. We had Michael Quinlivan on last week, and he was openly saying that he really enjoyed the game against Cork. I think everybody sitting at home watching it saw the smile after his first brilliant point of the game, and it seems that there was a lot of smiles on a lot of faces during the game before the final whistle had blown. How much is that replicated inside the camp in training, that people are really enjoying their football this year, and there's actually a premium on that's actually a really important part of this experience?
Yeah, I suppose in fairness, when things are going well and you're winning, it's that bit easier as well when you're in that good vein of form. But like, what's the precursor to that? Like, what started that? I honestly don't know. I suppose a number of factors came into play, but fellas coming back from travelling, the likes of Michael Quinlivan and Liam Casey, and then injury-wise, we've been reasonably lucky with injuries. We were unfortunate to lose Jack Kennedy a few weeks ago, and other than that, we lost Stephen O'Brien for the Limerick game. But other than that, we've been sort of kept a very tight panel and kept the lads injury-free. Ronan Cross does a great job with physio and keeps fellas on the pitch, and Robbie Cannon, the strength and conditioning lad, has done great work, injury prevention, etc. So we've been lucky in that regard that we've had we've kept fellas on the pitch, and that makes fellas happy, and that brings it back to your thing about fellas smiling. I think when things are going well and fellas are training well and there's a vibe around the place, it just sort of transforms into the whole way you play as well, I think. And there is a smile on lads' faces, and I think there will be on Sunday, regardless of how things are going. I think fellas are enjoying their football. Obviously, if you're under severe pressure and Mayo are all over you like a rash, that will be a problem. But I think our lads in general, they are going out to enjoy their football, and like football is like the season that we have in particular, that we've just all endured in every way, in our work lives and in our personal lives and sporting lives. I think it brings you back to the whole idea of, appreciating what you have and going out and enjoying matches, because I suppose we got a little bit carried away over the years and took things too serious and forgot to enjoy the basic things in life. And going out and playing in Croke Park is fundamentally an enjoyable experience.
Well, listen, I hope you guys all enjoy it this weekend. Paddy, we can hear real life impinging in the background. We'll let you go and get about your day's work. Thanks a million for joining us.
No problem. Talk to you soon.
It's Paddy Christie, of course, Ballymun Kickham's and Dublin legend, but now part of the backroom team of the Tipperary footballers. And he's there today with AIB, who've partnered with Sportsfile, the GAA and the Camogie Association to publish The Toughest Season. All proceeds from the sale of the book will be donated to the AIB Together Fund, supporting Age Northern Ireland, Alone, Food Cloud, SOAR and Pieta House. The book can be bought at all good bookstores and online at sportsfile.com. /the toughest season /ID /the toughest season. But if you get on Sportsfile, they'll should be easy enough to pick it up from there. I'd love to hear from you. 0879 180 180 is the number